You ever noticed how a shop has a specific smell right before you turn the first machine on? It's that mix of cold iron, lingering sawdust, and maybe a ghost of mineral spirits. It's the smell of potential, usually followed closely by the smell of me realizing I've forgotten where I put my marking knife.
Or the smell of a very expensive piece of walnut getting toasted because your blade is dull.
Specific, I like it, but today we're talking about the gear that keeps us from smelling like, well, copper and antiseptic in an ER waiting room. We're doing the deep dive on safety. And I know, half the folks listening just rolled their eyes so hard they saw their own brains. But stay with me. Safety isn't about being a hall monitor. It's about making sure you can actually show up to work tomorrow with the same number of appendages you have today.
It's the boring stuff that keeps the fun stuff from becoming a life-changing event. I've seen the way you look at your table saw, Tiger. It's a healthy mix of respect and genuine fear.
It's like living with a grizzly bear that happens to be very good at making straight cuts. You don't get cozy with it. You follow the rules of the house. Let's start with the windows to the soul. Eye protection. I once saw a guy try to use his regular sunglasses as safety gear while grinding a lawnmower blade. He thought he looked like a movie star until a hot shard of steel tucked itself right behind the lens.
That sounds like a very permanent way to get a new perspective on life.
He got lucky, but barely. The thing people miss is that impact resistant isn't just a marketing buzzword. Real safety glasses have side shields for a reason. Debris doesn't just come at you like a pitch in baseball. It swirls. It ricochets off the fence, off the wall, and sneaks in the side door.
And for the folks doing the heavy stuff, the grinding, the welding, is a pair of glasses enough? Because I've seen those full-face shields, and they look heavy.
They're a bit clunky, sure, but if you're at the bench grinder or sparks are flying, that shield is your best friend. It's the difference between a minor whoops and a trip to the plastic surgeon to explain why your forehead looks like a topographical map of the moon. Plus, wearing one makes you feel like a riot cop or an astronaut, which is a nice little ego boost during a long Tuesday.
Speaking of protection, let's talk about the hands. This is where I get confused. Sometimes you're wearing gloves, sometimes you're treating them like poison. What's the rule?
This is the one that trips up the beginners. If the machine spins, the gloves stay in the drawer. Drills, lathes, table saws, they don't care about your skin, but they love fabric. A glove gives the machine a handle to grab you by. It'll pull your hand into the works before your brain even registers that something is wrong.
So, gloves are for heat and chemicals, not for the moving metal teeth part of the job.
Spot on. Use those nitrile ones for the messy stuff. Oils, antifreeze, mineral spirits. Your skin is a sponge, Alex. You soak up enough of that shop chemistry over 20 years and your liver starts sending you nasty letters. And for the hot stuff? Leather. Always leather. But the second you step up to that drill press, you go barehanded.
You mentioned the drill press. I read something in a manual recently about shop etiquette being a safety feature. It sounded a bit polite, like we're having tea.
It sounds polite until you're the one who trips over a pile of scrap wood someone left in the walkway. Shop safety is a team sport. If you're working with someone else, you have to be their second set of eyes. There's a rule I've lived by. The moment you spot a mistake and decide not to fix it, it becomes your mistake.
That's a heavy one. Repair and repent, right?
Exactly. If the floor is slick with coolant, you don't walk past it. You throw down the absorbent, kitty litter, floor dry, whatever you've got, and you deal with it. A slip in a kitchen means a bruised ego. A slip in a machine shop, you might end up becoming part of the scenery.
You have such a way with words. Part of the scenery.
I try. But seriously, let's talk about the stuff below the ankles. We've talked about eyes and hands, but your feet are the unsung heroes. I see kids coming into the shop in those thin canvas sneakers sometimes. I tell them, those are great for a stroll in the park, but a half-inch thick piece of plate steel doesn't care about your fashion sense. You need steel toes, or at least a very high-quality composite, and non-slip soles. Oils and coolants turn a concrete floor into an ice rink faster than you can say emergency room.
I've always wondered about the no jewelry rule, too. Is a wedding ring really that dangerous?
In a heartbeat. It's called degloving, Alex. And if you want to keep your lunch down, don't look it up on Google Images. Anything that can get snagged, watches, rings, loose sleeves, long hair, it's all just a leash the machine can use to take you for a ride.
Okay, point taken. No rings, ponytails tightly secured, no 70s rock star wizard sleeves.
Exactly. Keep it tucked, keep it tight.
Let's talk about the specific machines. Everyone's seen a bandsaw. It looks relatively tame compared to a circular saw, but I bet it has its own set of don'ts.
The bandsaw is a sneaky one. Because it's quiet and doesn't kick back like a table saw, people get casual. They start pushing small pieces with their fingers way too close to that blade. A bandsaw doesn't cut. It's a microscopic file moving at 2,000 feet per minute. It'll take a notch out of you before you even feel the heat.
So what's the pro tip there? Push sticks?
Always. If your fingers are getting within 3 inches of the blade, you're playing a game of chicken you're eventually going to lose. Use a scrap piece of wood to feed the work. And keep the blade guard down. I see people with 3 inches of exposed blade above their work because they were too lazy to turn the knob. That's just inviting a disaster to dinner.
And what about the big guys, the mills and lathes? That's where the advanced tag comes in, right?
Those are the heavy hitters. You don't just walk up to a Bridgeport mill and start cranking handles. That's where you need to check the standard operating procedures. I don't care if you've been doing this for 40 years. Every machine has its own personality. Some lathes have a lot of coasting time after you hit the stop button. If you reach in there to grab a chip while it's still spinning, well, you're back to that part of the scenery problem we talked about.
You mentioned chips. For the listeners who aren't metal workers, we're talking about those sharp spirals of metal, right?
Yeah, and they are essentially little razor wire springs. Never, ever use your hands to clear them. Use a brush or a hook. I've seen people try to blow them off with compressed air, which is a great way to turn a metal shaving into a projectile that finds the one guy in the shop not wearing safety glasses.
I've heard you grumble about compressed air before. You're not a fan of using it as a leaf blower for your clothes?
Oh man, that's a big one. People love to dust themselves off with the air hose. But here's the thing. That air is under high pressure. It can drive dirt or oil right through your skin and into your bloodstream. It's called an air embolism, and it's a one-way ticket to the hospital. Use a brush or a vacuum. Leave the air hose for the tools.
Let's talk about maintenance. You mentioned something called lockout, tagout. It sounds like something from a spy movie.
I wish. It's actually much simpler, but twice as important. If you're changing a blade or fixing a motor, you don't just flip the switch to off. You unplug it, and if it's a hardwired machine, you lock the breaker box. There is nothing more terrifying than having your hands inside a machine and hearing someone across the shop say, "Hey, why is this unplugged? Why is this unplugged?" And hearing the click of the power coming back on.
That's a haunting thought.
It's happened. That's why we use those little red locks and tags. It says, "Tigers in the guts of this thing, stay away." It's a physical guarantee of safety.
What about the invisible stuff? Fumes, dust, chemicals. I feel like those are the hazards people ignore because they don't have teeth.
Exactly, the slow motion hazards. If you're painting or using resins or even just sanding certain exotic woods, you need a respirator, not a paper mask. Those are for keeping sawdust out of your nose, but they won't stop chemical vapors. You need those heavy-duty cartridges.
And I'm guessing a ventilated area means more than just cracking a window?
Usually, yeah. If you can smell the fume strongly, your ventilation is failing. You want those exhaust fans pulling the bad air away from your face, not across it. I've seen guys welding in a closed garage who end up with metal fume fever by dinner time. It feels like the worst flu of your life, all because they didn't want to open the big door and let a little cold air in.
It sounds like a lot of this comes down to one thing: being present, not being tired, not being distracted by a phone, and definitely not being under the influence of anything.
You hit the nail on the head. The shop doesn't care if you had a bad night's sleep or if you're replying to a text. It's a focused environment. If your mind is in the kitchen thinking about what's for dinner while your hand is on the table saw, you've already checked out. And the shop has a nasty way of reminding you to pay attention.
So, what's the takeaway here? If someone's just setting up their first little garage shop, what's the must-have list?
First, a good pair of safety glasses that you actually find comfortable. If they hurt your ears, you won't wear them. Second, a solid pair of boots. They don't have to be expensive, just tough. Third, a fire extinguisher rated for both grease and electrical fires. Keep it by the door, not buried behind a pile of lumber. Fourth, a decent first aid kit. Not just a box of Band-Aids, but something with real bandages and an eye wash station.
An eye wash station? Like the ones in high school chemistry class?
You can get little portable ones now. If you get a splash of brake cleaner or a wood splinter in your eye, waiting 10 minutes to get to the bathroom sink is 10 minutes too long. You want to be able to flush it right then and there. 15 minutes of steady water. Your eyes will thank you.
And the fifth thing?
A brain. Sounds cliche, but it's the best tool in the shop. If a cut feels sketchy, it is. If a setup looks wobbly, it'll fail. There's no shame in stopping a project to rebuild a jig or double check a manual. The shop will wait. Your fingers won't.
I think that's the most Tiger advice I've ever heard. The shop will wait.
It's true. That piece of maple isn't going anywhere. It's been a tree for 50 years. It can wait another 20 minutes for you to find your push stick.
Well, we've covered the gear, the etiquette, and the oh no moments. Any final parting shots for the folks at home?
Just one. Safety isn't a goal you reach. It's the way you walk through the shop every single time. Don't be the guy who says, I've done this 1,000 times without a guard, because the 1,001st time is usually the one that makes you famous for all the wrong reasons.
Let's avoid being shop famous.
Let's go build something beautiful, but do it so you can come back and do it again tomorrow.